up, y'all? KMB the Sexy Ninja here.
And I'm Flix.
We are currently watching the Clone Wars. You're catching up.
Mm-hmm. I'm not that far behind. There's only, 10 episodes?
Yes. But I wanted to review them in arcs, because you said you finished the Bad Batch arc.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorites so far. The Asuka arc was... We'll get to that later, but But the Bad Batch arc is probably, these central characters in this arc is probably my favorite so far of the Clone Wars series. And it kind of makes me sad that we may not see them again.
I gotta be honest, when I was watching it, I was really waiting for them to start getting picked off.
Yeah.
Like in that action movie kind of sense where you have that ragtag team of mercenaries.
Yeah.
Pretty much what they were.
Very action movie-ish too,
Yeah.
They all had their thing, Wrecker and all that.
They all had their thing they were amazingly good at. But you expect something like, I was just like, so is this someone's gonna go down this hallway, they're gonna be outnumbered, they're finally gonna die.
They're gonna go out? No.
They were just utmost badasses to almost a Jedi degree.
Well, when they saved Echo and they're on that beam, they're like, what do we do now? Jump!
I think it's funny that they hint really heavily at Wrecker being afraid of heights.
Yeah.
But it never pays off. I don't want to do this, but I'm
gonna do it. Well, in those really cool moments, like you said with Anakin, when he gave Wrecker, he's like, here you go. He's like,
gave him a little thing to blow it up, and Wrecker was amazing, and you're just kind of like, okay, he follows orders exceedingly well. Why is he not the standard trooper now?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, there are a bunch of... So, I mean, for you that haven't watched, I don't know why you're watching this, but they're troopers that are defective clones that have positive attributes from their defects. Wrecker's extremely strong and really,
can lift ships.
He lifts up a gunner ship off of somebody. Wait, we're going to need more than that to get Cody out of there. No, he's not getting Cody out of there. He's getting the ship out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, and, with this team, like I told you, the first thing I told you when you said you finished this arc, I was like, I want these action figures. I want them in my collection. They need to be sitting up there, and the Bad Batch needs to be looking at me. But, for you, who would you say is your favorite of the Bad Batch?
Talking about personality or look? Because look is Hunter. Hunter has that Rambo look going on him. As far as personality, I just love Wrecker. Wrecker is so innocent but strong, and when they're talking about doing a stealth mission, he's like, I don't like that.
I must smash and blow up things.
I want to blow things up. And you're like, I understand that from a trooper's perspective. Because, even very first episode, when you have the original squad, two of them, I think it might have been Echo and what's his name? Rex, who were talking about how bored they were.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm so bored. I just want to go do stuff. And they meet this group of people who do stuff.
Well, Rex even calls out the fact that was it Rex or Cody? Rex is he leading the group, right?
Rex is the one that ends up leading the group. Cody's the one that begins leading the group in the very beginning. He's the one that calls in the Bad Batch, and he has history with Hunter.
Yeah. So, but I would say for me, Hunter. Like I said, just going to his look itself and just how badass he is, and just the things he says, and
Well, I wish that we got to see more about him, because they talk about his well, Hunter doesn't seem like he's one of the Bad Batch. He seems normal especially compared to the rest of you. He's no, he can sense, his senses are just cranked up super high. He can tell electromagnetic things from the other side of the planet, and you're like, Can we see more into this? Because that sounds super awesome.
Well, and I remember somebody suggested, let's do, the Bad Batch adventures. How they became the Bad Batch and stuff like that. And I was just like, that would be really cool, because you introduce these characters who are very, standalone-ish, very cool in itself, where you would want more. But this is the final season.
Well, I'm sure that Disney will find a way to stretch that financially. They'll be like, hey, it was the final season of Clone Wars. We're going to make comic books. We're going to make an actual novel book.
And there I am with my wallet, just
I don't know. So the problem with this, and I would love to do this in a group of a live-action Bad Batch series. The problem is they all look they're supposed to all look exactly the same, and they all do have a very, very similar face.
Yeah.
So you'd have to pull a CGI thing where everybody's face gets digitally mapped onto another person.
Unless you just do I would say a live action would be cool, but I would want the way they look in the animation form.
Well, I think the cool thing that you could in theory do with it is never have them take off their helmets for the most part.
What, the Mandalorian now?
No, for the most part. They still take them... Okay, no, so here's my problem that I always have with watching the Clone War episodes. Is if it's Cody, if it's Rex, if it's a named clone, or someone who... Like, a clone that is irrelevant in that episode. They always take off their helmet again and again and again. And you're like, what is the tactical advantage of taking off your head shield?
Well, what's so funny is, like, you know, it's been a while since Clone Wars started, and jumping back in, especially with this 4-episode arc, it was kind of like, oh man, you know, this is why I love the Clone Wars series, is because we get to see the destruction of this war across the galaxy. These characters, and like you said, they make Anakin so much more.
That was my when I was in the middle of watching the Bad Batch episode and Anakin finally comes into it. He gives like this inspiring speech to Rex about, hey, what are you going to do if they don't have Echo? Like, what are you going to do if this is all just a trap? And he just has like this inspiring leader speech, which you could never imagine Hayden Christensen's Anakin giving anyone. Well, no, and it's I don't know if it's to the writing or something like that, but it's something that always got me about the Clone Wars series is they characterize Anakin so much better. Like, you understand why he does the things he does later. Not necessarily his love for Padme. That's still kind of weirdly put over on this one.
Well, with the Clone Wars, what I love is I think it's made me appreciate the prequels a little bit more, just because there's so much that goes on between episode 2 to episode 3 in those episodes, to where there's actual characters that build relationships and this and that.
And that was a cool part about the original Clone Wars 5-minute animated bits that you got in between episode 2 and episode 3 that characterize Anakin more. His struggles, you meet Asahi, Ventress, and all these other things go on that turn Anakin from a sniveling little kid into a full-grown adult. Which, don't get me wrong, if episode 2 had been Hayden Christensen being like he was in that movie, and then episode 3 had a very mature Anakin Skywalker, not the one we got, I think that arc in the middle of Clone Wars, the full animated series, not just the little 5-minute ones, would have been really awesome connecting those. But now how it goes is you have the Hayden Christensen from episode 2 being whiny about sand, and then we cut to a series where he is the most badass guy who murders somebody.
Well, and I know I'm a little bit further ahead of you. It just gets better.
I know.
And I can't wait just to explore more of this with you. And I can't wait until you see the Ahsoka arc, and we can talk about that. Just because instead of doing them one episode at a time,
we'll do them by the arcs. That's how the show goes. Like you as much as they release them episodically, you're not supposed to just watch one and then hey, this is my thoughts on it. Like, some TV shows do that. Not this one. This one has arcs, and it's not like Dragon Ball Z where it's 30 episodes is one arc, one saga, and then
Goku running for like the whole episode.
Even with that, but more what I'm saying is, like, even with like episodes like that, you could do them episodically, because that's kind of a lot of stuff happens in those episodes that are exclusive to that episode alone, but then there's a big overarching thing. With these ones, if you don't watch all 4 episodes of that arc, you're very far left behind as to what's going on.
Yeah, and for me, with currently what's going on is just like, I want to know how this is going to play out. I want to know if we're going to like weave more into Revenge of the Sith and all this and that, because I never wanted this series to end right when Revenge of the Sith started. I wanted to be some repercussions in the Clone Wars, and the fact that hopefully when we see it, it's gonna play off in a big emotional way.
It is kind of funny though, watching this one after Rebels has already come out and after Episode 3 came out a long time ago. But when you go, well, Commander Cody got hurt really bad. Is he gonna live? Well, duh, he's gonna live. He's in Episode 3.
Yeah.
And he's one of the people that is there till the end. He's one of the people that attacks Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he's gonna live. Oh, is Rex gonna live? Well, he's in Rebels.
Yeah.
He's gonna live.
Yeah, and what I think too though is, like, I wish we had more of this build in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this relationship with these clones and stuff like that. But tomato. George is like, no.
Well, yeah, and that's, I don't know, that's this is the thing that in any storytelling kind of perspective, I'm not typically in love with prequel movies, because sometimes, yes, you understand why the status quo of the beginning of the first movie is met, but you still, that in episode 1 Anakin's gonna live, Obi-Wan's gonna live, Yoda's gonna live, in episode 2, all 3 of them are gonna live, in episode 3, all 3 of them are gonna live in their own kind of ways, like, there's no point in the battle, in the kick-ass battle between Yoda and Sidious, where you're like, oh, is one of them gonna die? Like, yeah, this is just them showing off what they can do. In Anakin versus Obi-Wan, you're not like, who's gonna win this one? Like, well...
But it's still one of the best lightsaber battles we've talked about.
But what I'm saying is, the problem with how George did it in the first place, starting with episode 4, and then, we're gonna go back, now we're gonna go forward, is, if we'd gotten, and to answer this also, if we'd gotten episodes 4, 5, 6, then 7, 8, and 9, Rise of Skywalker came out, and then now they're like, hey, we're gonna go do a prequel series, 1, 2, and 3. How do you think you would feel about that? Because, yes, we haven't really gotten the story of Anakin at this point in time, but we also have that part at the end of Rise of Skywalker where you have all these other Jedi where you're like, I don't know who some of these people are. I'm interested in learning the story about them becoming a Jedi.
Well, I think that's what George intended, and I think that's why he brought the Clone Wars to life, is because he was just like, I want to explore more of this universe, I want to show the repercussions of the Clone Wars, I want, because
there wasn't novelization to do that before.
Yeah, but seeing it, there's a lot of people hanging out there. I'll be like, oh man, I read this awesome novel during the Clone Wars, it's set in the Clone Wars. You should read this book, and this is somebody's like, I can't read. So they're like, okay, well here's a TV show.
That's you with what's his name? What's his name? He's in Rebels. He works with Vader and Palpatine.
Oh, Thrawn?
Thrawn.
Yes.
That's you and Thrawn though. Like, what you know about Thrawn from the TV show is something. But what you know from the novelization is completely, like, far more expansive.
Yeah, well, that's just me, though.
No, but I'm saying that in general that is what I view as best practice. Like, when you had the original trilogy, and you have all of these Legends comics come out about Luke after that point in time, all these amazing things that happened in the in-between time, and then you cut into, You cut into The Last Jedi, where you're like, oh... Well, you're kind of anticlimactic compared to what we read about you before.
All the Legends, yeah.
Yeah, all the Legend comics where he's got kids.
Well, I read the Adventures of Luke Skywalker, and I'll get into that later.
but that's just what I'm saying is the way this story is told, and this is something that I love Star Wars, but I hate so many aspects of it that you have these Legend comics that explain these things. Then Disney goes, no, they're not canonical anymore. They used to be, no, they're not anymore. And then you go, okay, well, then what are we doing about all of these stories that happened in between, before, after? We're going to make movies on them. Well, is there a purpose to a lot of these movies if we have the Legends comics? No, but we're going to make money from them.
Well, and I think that's why I think it's a breath of fresh air, because remember when Clone Wars, Disney acquired Lucasfilm, they did not want anything to do with the prequels. They're like, nope. Clone Wars, you are shut down. That is your final, you can do your lost episodes or whatever you want, but you guys are done, because a lot of people hate those movies. We want to just kind of go do our own thing, bring in Force Awakens and this and that. But then they kind of realized, they kind of poo-pooed that whole lot of stuff, and now they're like, hey, here's this thing you guys really liked. Is this cool? It's the final season, though.
Yeah, I know. No, that's... I don't know. Well, we can talk more on other things pertaining to that later. But
yeah. So overall, though, what would you rate the Bad Batch arc?
I don't have to rate everything.
I rate everything.
I don't know what we're comparing it to. Like, we're comparing it to the rest of Clone Wars, we're comparing it to Star Wars.
I would say from Star Wars storytelling perspective, especially with this era in the Clone Wars. Like,
what are we out of? Because I don't know your scoring system. I don't want to.
I kept it at 10. I kept it at 10. It's at 10 now, just because I've gone back and saw older episodes where I'm like 5, 3, 2, 1.
In the grand scheme of Star Wars, I guess I give it like a 5 or a 6. It's definitely good storytelling, but at the same time, how relevant of storytelling it is right now compared to everything going on, and especially if you're like, it was the last season, so we don't know what they're going to do with Bad Batch. So you introduce these really awesome characters that we might not do anything with.
Well, that's why I'm sitting on an 8 with this arc, because
Compared to everything in Star Wars, you give it an 8.
just because of the fact of like, why'd you just kick me in the balls with like some of the coolest characters ever, and now I'm gonna be like, but where's the Bad Batch? Are they gonna show up in the final episodes of this season? Please, maybe, probably not.
Make a new episode of Rebels and have the Bad Batch be part of that new
Why
season.
not? You know, and but that was my biggest thing. Is like, yeah, like at the end of that arc, I was like, oh, Clone Wars is back. This is awesome. Like I was giddy. Like my wife's sitting in the other room because she doesn't want to hear me nerd out, but she kept hearing me like, you know, like during this series, and then like all of a sudden at the end, I was like, this sucks. And I was like, did it suck? No. I meant like they just gave me these great characters, and now I'm not gonna see where they're gonna go with them. So hopefully.
Yeah, no, and I think the character I'd want, honestly, because you'd ask what my favorite character is, the character I'd want to see more of in just kind of like progression would either be Longshot or I can't remember the smart one's name.
Oh, the tech guy.
Tech guy, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd rather like, because you know you get to meet like Longshot and he's just like, oh, he's not much of a talker, and you're just like, okay, well, but then by the end he's like,
being verbal and talking and stuff like that.
Even just being more like helpful, but then you're just like, okay, but now.
Yeah, you want a little bit of backstory.
I want to understand him more, because understanding Hunter and understanding Wrecker, not exactly the hardest things in the world. Like Hunter is the person leading this group.
Well, I like the idea too of these clones being like, what do you call it? What's the word? Because they say it in the episode. Like these are the not disinfected. Why did I think this?
Defective?
Yeah. These are like the clones that came out like weird with their own little stitch. So you know, we just threw them over there and just told them like, you know. But what I like though, at the end of the 4th episode, then they're like, well, who do you guys report to?
We just go. We just go where we're told, and you're just like,
There's more to that too. You know what I mean?
Well, especially like Echo joins the team now, and you're just like, so was like getting Echo on their team part of the plan too? Like, are we?
Yeah.
We going that way, or
this is why I can't wait until you watch the next 4, the next arc. So,
but it's funny because you were just like when you're talking to me, you're like, oh yeah, no, the Bad Batch one, and there's the Ahsoka one.
We'll get more into the next one. But so let us know what you think if you're watching the Clone Wars. Like and subscribe, share it with your grandma, share it with your grandpa, share it the bum down at Walmart. I am KMB the Sexy Ninja.
And I'm POP-FLIX.
Alright, y'all.